Welcome to the podcast for online fitness coaches. I'm Benji Tucker, and together with my business partner, Ethan Gonzalez, we scaled each of our fitness businesses from 0 to 80K in just a span of 4 months. And on this podcast, you'll hear more on how to get online fitness clients, make more profit from each of them, how to keep them longer, and the many failures and lessons we have learned on our path to a combined 160K a month. Today, I'll be talking about exactly how you could run paid ads to sign 10 plus fitness route clients every single month. Now, guys, you'll remember from the last episode, we talked about why you have to run paid ads, right? It's so important because of various reasons. We went over three main ones, but the main one was it's the only guaranteed way to get eyeballs on your content and the only guaranteed way to get traffic, right? And this is promotion, which is P2 of our 4P system. And you need to be able to promote your offer so that you could actually get eyeballs in front of it and you could have a consistent lead acquisition system so that you have, well, one, consistency and predictability in your business. That's going to lead to less stress, more flexibility in your lifestyle, and overall, a lot better of a life. So, the question remains though, how do we actually run these follower ads? And I told you guys in the last episode that I'm going to shortly, thereafter be talking about that. And here we are 2 days later talking about this. So, first I want to start, everyone's always confused because either they've just boosted a random post before and expected that to work, or, they see some very complicated funnel that some guy's talking about in a VSL or webinar, and you're kind of turned off from ads, right? Maybe you've had a really bad experience with them, or maybe they're scary or whatnot, but we make it really simple. Actually, simplicity scales, right? Complex fails. Just remember that sort of slogan when it comes to growing your business. But the type of ads that we run are follower ads. Okay. That's the first style that we ever implement when we have a new client coming in. It's the style that we are still implementing today in our own fitness businesses. All right. The reason we run follower ads is because one, it's so damn easy to do. You can script, film, edit, and launch them all really in an hour if you have the right skill set and you're not too scared to do so. Um, and also they're so damn simple and effective as it relates to nurturing prospects. It's a low ask, right? When you think about the levels of asks that you could be making on an ad. You could be making an ask that, hey, book a call with me, hey, buy my program, or hey, buy these workout templates, and then trying to upsell someone into something else or something crazy like that. But really all you're doing is asking someone to give you a follow on your page so that they can, see your content that's supposed to help them specifically if, you call them out in the right way. And that's so effective because it lowers the barrier to entry, but it allows them to consume a shit ton of your content very, very quickly and, to limit the gap that it takes for the lead to actually be nurtured and to have spent more content units with you. Right. So I can't remember where I saw it, but a lot of times it said the average conversion takes 27 days. But in a funnel like this, we want to shrink it into a couple of days, as short of a period of time as possible. And why do we need to do that? Well, because other people are going to be doing the same types of things because, more than ever, right? Everyone's afraid of market saturation. We're competing for attention. But if we do the right things in a short period of time, no one even has a chance to look anywhere else because they'll trust us, they'll know us, they'll like us, and they'll be convinced that our strategies are the only ones that could feasibly work, right? And that's the way we want to look at it from fitness, or anywhere. Okay, so I first want to go into how to script to ad. And yes, I could literally read something script for script, but basically what I want to do is just kind of give you the the parts of the script themselves and the most important things. So we typically have a 30-second variation and then like a 60 to 90-second variation as well. And there's little different things you can do in there. And I could talk all day about different variables, but realistically, here's how it goes. So let's take someone who's working with corporate women struggling with hormones or corporate women in menopause or something like that. The first line in the first 3 seconds, your job is to call out your client avatar, right? Who is that very specific person that you're targeting? You want to call them out very specifically in those first 3 seconds and what their struggle is. If you don't do that, right, people have such short attention spans, they're either going to click off or you're not going to do it if you don't do it in the right way and you're just being general, you're not going to get the leads you want. So there's really two main things that, predict and, relate to the type of leads you get that come in from your follower ad. And this is one of them. Okay. This is one of the two. Now the next line is really just going to be a qualifier. So it'd be, hey, are you a, corporate executive woman in menopause struggling to drop 25 plus pounds, right? Something like that within 4 seconds. Then, you go into, you've been struggling with, getting heat flashes. You've been struggling with, being overweight, high stress, being in the workplace, whatever, right? You list out their lifestyle and kind of the more specifics of the problems you're facing, right? So this could be anywhere from really 5 to, you know, 15 seconds long. But what Ethan and I typically like to do is we'd like to have that call to action, that first one, in 8 to 15 seconds because people's attention span is so low. So it would pretty much go, now here's the three components we're at so far. Hey, are you a corporate executive woman in menopause, struggling to lose 30 pounds? You've probably dealt with, X, Y, and Z. If so, and this is the third component, give me a follow here on my account on Instagram and scroll through my content where I'll show you exactly how to optimize your hormones and drop 20 plus pounds in under 6 months without restricting your favorite food, sacrificing wine on the weekends, or, giving up your lifestyle that you love, right? So that's the third component. It's the call to action. And the call to action is the second most important part because in a way that's the offering you're making to the person that's watching the ad, right? So you've called out the specific person, you've properly identified them, they're still listening and they want to know what to do next. And now you tell them, hey, if you're this person, follow my account so you could get this thing. And it's results oriented. It's, hey, like you you're this person with these very specific struggles. Here's our very specific methodology for solving that. Just all you have to do is give me a follow, scroll through my content. Very low ask. People eat it up if it's for them. This is the reason it works so well. Now, the next component after that is really just a second qualifier. So, it could pretty much be as simple as, qualifying again on, what their certain lifestyle is, their problems are, or just kind of restating what you already said in a different way. So you could ask them for a follow and, scroll through my content. I'll show you how to do X, Y, and Z. Again, if you're a, corporate woman in menopause, you're struggling to optimize your hormones, but you still want to, drink wine with the girls on the weekend and crush in your work and also, in the gym or, with your body as well and have those match, give me a follow here on my Instagram so you could stop spinning your wheels and, escape the rat race, not in work, but with your body, right? Something like that. So really there's four main components that I went through there, and you could kind of copy and paste the template that I just sort of spoke to you here. And then the next part is filming it, right? So filming is very straightforward. You don't need anything special. You don't need special equipment. All you need to start with is a phone. Okay. The simplicity of these ads are what crushes. And, you really just need a phone. That's it. I've even seen people do selfie style and it worked very, very well. Now, make sure that you have the captions from either CapCut or an app like Submagic. I, recommend throwing in some B-roll of, certain people that look like your client avatar. So for example, I'm not a corporate executive woman, but if I was targeting those people, I would show visuals that look like that, right? Very straightforward. It's very simple. Um, I wouldn't do any crazy amounts of editing. One thing I will say is when you are filming, try to think of the environment and the clothes you're wearing and what's in your vicinity, and how that relates to the person you're targeting, right? Because if I was targeting really wealthy people, but I was making videos like in the Walmart frozen food section, that might not resonate with wealthy people, right? So and if I was targeting a hobo for some reason that, was on, took the, couldn't afford a train ticket, so he sat on top of the train, I wouldn't, make that ad in front of corporate buildings. So it works both ways. Whoever you're targeting, you need to make it specific to, not just with your words, but also the environment to make what you're doing more trustworthy and also make them feel like you really understand them and their unique problems. Um, Now, how to launch the ads, also something that's like so simple and people get scared of this because they see the ads manager and whatnot. And it's good to have an ads manager. One second, I need water here. It's good to have an ads manager, but it's in to launch ads through there. But really with follower ads, we don't want to do that for whatever reason. Through all the testing that we've done and all the testing that other coaches that we have gone through have done as well. We know that for whatever reason, follower ads launched on Instagram desktop natively there do better. Now it does make sense to still have an ads manager and link it to when you're running ads on there. You set up your card in that way. Make sure you do it on Instagram desktop, not mobile, so you're not hit with, I think it's either a 15 or 30% fee just for running the ads on mobile, which yeah, I don't really understand why, but that's how it works. All you're really gonna do is you're gonna go to the create function and then it's going to say like create ad or post ad, something like that. You go through, you paste ad in there, put your caption, and then it's going to take you to a screen where, it's asking, what demographic you want to target. We recommend turning Advantage Plus off. And, just there's a couple things you can do with targeting. You could go very broad, or you could choose like one or two interests being very specific. But the bottom line is, how do you get your ads to the right people? The biggest element here is straight up just the copy in your ads, the words you're saying. That's what's going to resonate the most with people. Now, in terms of the rest of the demographic targeting, you're also going to want to, target by age. Like, so if you're targeting woman 40 to 60, put woman 40 to 60, like very simple there. Um, and there's nothing really else much to it. Now, what do we do once they're launched though? Um, well, it's very simple. We DM everyone, right? So I'll kind of explain the funnel in a second here. Now, no, you're not going to be stuck in this trance where you're sending, 200 cold DMs a day. Not only are they not cold, the traffic is warm, but you're also going to be, sending less total DMs because you don't need hundreds of leads a day to be able to book sales calls. But the biggest thing is DMing everyone. So, we've made videos on the exact DM script we've used, and that's important as well. But the most important thing here is that you're around the clock being able to speed the lead. So someone follows you and then messaging them within, 60 seconds is ideal, but within 5 or 10 minutes to be able to reach out to them and say, hey, I appreciate the follow, John. Currently on a fitness journey yourself. Um, these people are warm. They've already started to engage with your content. So it's going to be exciting when you actually reach out to them authentically. Okay. Now the parts of the funnel, it's pretty simple. We run the follower ad, right? And then from there, people come to visit our profile and then they convert, right? They can choose to follow or not follow. So, let's go down the conversions list here. They follow you. Well, now there's new messages, right? You're going to message people and the new messages or messaging conversations are people who respond to you and now you're having an engagement with. After that, of course, the goal always is to book in a sales call. So that is the next conversion metric. And then it goes from sales call to, people actually showing up and then you closing the sale on there or not, right? But hopefully you are. So this funnel is so straightforward. So you can probably visualize it in your head how simple it is. There's really not that much to it. And that is the beauty of it. That being said, you have to have all the principles in your marketing kind of figured out, right? You want your P1, your premium offer set up so that when you run these ads, people are coming into, fight the premium offer. Okay. Now, some questions I want to address that people will have is, well, how much do we spend a day to start? And really, it could be like almost any amount, but we want to start with minimum like $40, $50 a day because that's going to allow us to get data quickly and test, right? Because you have to think if you're selling a $3,000 package and you spend, let's say, $500 in ads to, book in a couple calls, maybe you close a call every $700, let's just say. Okay, well, that means that your ROAS is still very good. It's over 4x, but testing that $30, if you spend $10 a day, do the math between 10 and 700, right? That's 70 days away. It would be over 2 months to figure out if this ad worked to a point where you were still within KPI and doing really well. So that doesn't make sense. So we want to try to test a little bit quicker in the event of that. That being said, you also can do, like lower amounts if you really just don't have the budget, but you want to learn how ads work and you want to run some traffic there. Just know that that's not ideal. You also don't want to spend over 100 a day to start if you have a high budget, because you don't want the pool of people that your ads are going to be so large that Facebook doesn't actually know how to optimize for it. Okay. We want to start at 100 on the top end and then go from there. So typically that's why I say 50 to 100. Now, also, how long do you actually let the ad run to judge if it's working or not? That's a good question. And typically the answer is $300. Why is it $300? Well, that's usually the amount of time allotted to see if the ad, has optimized and see who, after it's been optimized, who's opting into our funnel, what our cost per lead is, and whatnot. Okay, so that's very important. Now, if you have, let's say your KPI is, well, I need to get like under $5 to follow, but you're getting $15 to follow, and it's like 3x of KPI, and you've only spent $100. I wouldn't tell you not to shut it off. I absolutely would shut it off at that point if something's like 3x of KPI. But I want you to have strict standards for that because you don't want to be impulsive when it comes to ads. It's like, you don't want to be emotional. It's the number one mistake I see. And I had mentioned cost per lead, by the way. I don't want to get too much into KPIs here, but a good question, follow up to that would be, how much money should be spending to accumulate each follower? Now that the answer is different because quite frankly, it doesn't fucking matter how much a lead costs. It matters how much money you are making off of the money you're putting in. So for me, with a lot of my early days in my fitness funnel, I would spend $4.50 per lead and I would make like $4 or $5 back and I made good money, right? Ethan would spend like $1.50 a lead and he would also make good money, right? But it was a similar ROAS. So, it just speaks to the quality of each individual lead in there. Okay. Um, so typically we say, as low as you could go, let's just say 50 cents to $5 is kind of within KPI, but it really depends on your current circumstances as well. So just keep that in mind. I think most people though should be aiming for under $3. Um, if I'm being honest about like everyone as a whole, like what we want to be aiming for. And then lastly, like when do we stop or scale ads? Well, I answered that before, right? $300 of ad spend, you stop it. If something is 3x of KPI at $100, when do we scale the ads? Well, really when we see that we put $1 in and we get, 2 to 3 times the amount of money that we're putting in out. Okay, so it's very simple. It's very logic based. It's numbers based only, exclusively. There's no emotion that you want to inject into this decision making process because, I mean, we're here to make money. So we want to be, we're here to make money and improve people's lives. But in order to do that, we need to make, logic based decisions. And then, the last thing I did want to discuss is actually the variations of these follower ads. So it's pretty interesting. A lot of you guys have probably seen the traditional follower ad actually on your feed of a coach coming in there and just saying, "Hey, are you this person? If so, give me a follow," right? Like it seems like everyone's reading off of the same script now. But we have other variations as well. We have what I call the silent overlay ads. So it's the B-roll of you working out or eating or doing some sort of activity and then just having kind of the script pop up on the screen. Hey, are you this person? If, struggling with X, Y, and Z, if so, give me a follow and, scroll to my page where I'll show you X, Y, and Z. So, give me a follow. Very simple, very effective. Carousel ads work great too. So giving your calling it your target demographic, giving them value in swipe carousel post, Twitter feed style or whatnot, and then having a call to action and kind of like a cheeky call to action of like, follow me for more tips. Very simple. And then a boosted post. So a post that's already performing well or is very specific to your target demographic and the problems they're facing, you could boost that too. Lastly, I've also seen social proof ads work and, just showcasing your client testimonials as the main, source of value that you're actually giving. So, hey, here's exactly how my client John, who is a corporate desk worker, shredded 25 plus pounds, while using all frozen meals or something like that, right? Without ever having to meal prep. That could do well too. So, because to summarize, right? we talked on, in the last episode about why you need to run ads. And here's exactly in this episode how to run the ads, specifically follower ads. And not just like, what they are, but how to script them, how to film them, a little bit about how to edit them and how to launch them. We also went into the funnel as well and what some of the metrics, but also like the touch points that the lead's going to go through once they opt in. So ultimately, I just want to say thanks for watching this episode of the podcast for online fitness coaches. If you want to learn how to scale your business to 10 to 20K a month, just message us client on Instagram at PT Launchpad. So it's all spelled out with no spaces. That's PT Launchpad. And we'll reach out with more info. Have a good one, guys.